Welcome to Bowls, Beers, and Brawls. You got Big B here with ya. Hope you're doing well out there, fight fans. We had BKFC 64 go down on Saturday, August 10th. Came to us live from Coventry, England. Yes, BKFC was back in the UK, so it aired for us here in North America Saturday afternoon. And on the line, we had the UK Welterweight belt, the inaugural. So we had Tierney versus Jonny Graham in what ended up to be a fantastic fight, I thought. We'll get more into that right away here. Now I'm gonna go over the entire main card, top to bottom, starting with the main event, and we'll work our way down from there. Now, as mentioned, main event at BKFC 64, Tierney, he was 7-2 going into this one, versus Jonny Graham, who was just 2-0. So a big challenge here for Jonny Graham. Now, a reminder that this was for the UK welterweight strap. I'm not sure what BKFC's got planned here with UK champions now, and I don't know if eventually maybe they'll combine them and go for the overall world champion, or if BKFC UK is going to be like an entirely separate entity. Your guess is as good as mine at this point, folks, but somebody has a plan, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, back to the BKFC 64 here. Main event. I thought it was a great main event in Coventry. Both fighters scored knockdowns. I mean, Tierney is an absolute treat to watch dance out there. His movement is, it's something else. It's something that you're not going to see currently in the BKFC. He is the man when it comes to head movement, and just overall body movement is just fantastic. On the other hand, Graham is a beast with great power, as he showed catching Tierney with a fantastic right hand, just perfectly placed. Knocked him down, but didn't get him out of there. In the end, Tierney earns a unanimous decision victory, moves to 8-2 overall in BKFC, wins the inaugural UK welterweight strap. I have no idea what's going to happen next for Conor, but I can't wait to see it. The co-main at BKFC 64 was a lightweight scrap. We had the 2-0 Jono Chip Chase. He was taking on the 2-2 Toby Bindon. And you know what, folks? Jono Chip Chase is an absolute force. He demolished Toby Brandon with crisp shots. First round knockout for Chip Chase. Moves to 3-0. And he has an absolutely fantastic beard to top it off. Great stuff from Jono Chip Chase, really displaying his talent out there at BKFC 64. The feature bout at BKFC 64 saw the Irishman Conor Cook going in 2-1. He was taking on what they had listed as 6-5 Mason Shaw. Now 6-5 I don't think is BKFC specific, but bare knuckle overall. And this was going down at Cruiserweight. Wow, folks. Conor Cook shows power with a perfect right hand. First round knockout for Cook against an extremely game opponent and veteran in Mason Shaw. Fantastic showing by Conor Cook. And there's no doubt that opened up some eyeballs in the Cruiserweight division. BKFC 64 also saw a Cruiserweight scrap. We had the 2-3 Lee Brown taking on the 1-0 Rob Boardman. And you know what, folks? Rob Boardman went to work, and it paid off for him. He ends up getting the 4th round TKO. Beautiful body shots ended up finishing the fight off. Puts Brown down. Brown is down. That's right, folks. And you know what? Just a few side notes from BKFC 64 before I continue on the rest of the fights, because it was a decision heavy card. crazy amount of decisions, to be honest. Not really what we're used to seeing out of BKFC. Now, there's two things. There's a decision fight like you had in the main event where it was exciting. Both fighters were throwing knockdowns, shit like that. Then there's other 5-round fights that are just more lacking, I guess, to be polite. And we had some of those at BKFC 64. There was that. There's the fact that this was even a numbered event kind of threw me for a surprise, because there's, other than Tierney, there was no real names, at least for North American fans. Now, I know it was a UK card and it was for the UK fans, which is perfectly fine. But the fact that it was a numbered event, I guess because the UK belt was on the line, that's the only reason I can see it being a numbered event. The other thing I wanted to touch on is, I can't confirm it, but I think Chris Lytle and Sean Wheelock were commentating the fights remotely. I think they were in some kind of studio. I don't know if they were live at the event. Never showed them. The only time they did show them was standing in front of a BKFC logo, basically. It didn't look like they were live, and I have no problems with that. Those dudes travel so fucking much when you think about just the travel across North America itself. Never mind going halfway across the world and then having to come back and then having to hit what city is next? Kansas City, I believe, is next weekend. So if that's what they're doing for these cards halfway around the world, props to them, because it was an excellent job by both men, as usual. Now, moving on back down on the card here at BKFC 64, a welterweight scrap. We had the 2-2 Luke Nevin. He was taking on the debuting Sahin Omar. And, well, Nevin, basically, from what I saw, used his size, stuck to his game plan, and that earned him a unanimous decision victory. Now, don't get me wrong here, folks. Omar is damn well tough, but he just couldn't seem to land on Nevin. Continue on down the main card at BKFC 64 in the UK. We had a middleweight scrap. Both men debuting here. We had Paul O'Sullivan. He was taking on Mac Bygraves. And you know what? I thought both looked pretty good here in their debut. Didn't look like two debuting fighters. Now, I don't know their backstories exactly, but obviously they have some combat experience. Bygraves, I thought, was just a little bit faster. He had really awesome counters. Mac takes the split decision. It was kind of a weird score. I don't know what that one judge exactly saw. From what I saw, in my eyes, it was a unanimous decision by Bygraves, but either way, he gets the W. And in what would have been the third fight on the main card in Coventry, England, we had another middleweight scrap here. The 1-0-1 is what they had him listed. George Thorpe, he was taking on the 2-2 Conan Barbaru. In this one, the game plan was simple for Thorpe, and he executed it almost to a T here. Thorpe kept the brawling Barbaru at bay. I definitely would have liked to seen more action in this scrap. It was kind of one of those where it was, I mean, it wasn't terrible, it just wasn't as exciting as it could have been. In the end, though, George Thorpe moves to 2-0, takes the unanimous decision. Second fight on the main card, we had two debuting fighters once again, this one in the lightweight division. Ryan McCarthy was taking on Alec Connolly, and you know, there wasn't anything really super exciting here. Very clinch heavy fight. Ryan McCarthy cut Connolly, and in the end grabs a unanimous decision in a fight that just was. And the opener on the main card at BKFC 64 was a bantamweight scrap. Debuting Jordan Ward, he was taking on the 1 and 2 Robbie Brown. I thought this was a decent opener. Robbie Brown's movement, his counterpunching, basically those two were the main keys, and that led to a unanimous decision for Robbie Brown. So he moves to 500 here, 2 and 2. That was BKFC 64. You know, honestly, without the main event, I think it would have been in my opinion, a stinker of a card. It just didn't have that oomph that BKFC cards usually do. And hey, I'm not saying I want to see a finish every damn fight, but there were some of the fights where the guys just didn't seem to be going for it. I don't know. Once again, easy for me to say sitting on my couch watching, but overall, BKFC 64 was it was. That's really all I can say, honestly. Moving on to the next, as we always do in the combat sports world. So the next one's right around the corner, as mentioned. I believe it's in Kansas City, so we'll look forward to that. And that's all I got for now. Till next time, everybody. Thanks a bunch for joining me. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, everybody, take care and peace. I think the trick